Today we have Dorothy Beyer, Baroque flautist from Edmonton. And welcome, Dorothy.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
First question we have is, how did you become interested in Baroque flute?
Yeah, teenager. I always heard Franz Bruggen playing the recorder on our records at home. Not this is before CDs, and I just thought it was sounded so beautiful. And I wished that I could like go to school and study, like you go to university and study the recorder, but in Lethbridge, in the 80s, that was just not possible, and even now. And but it was always in the back of my mind, and um a couple of years ago, I got the chance to go to a recorder workshop with Matthias Mauta and Sophie Lariviere. They're from Montreal. And we, yeah, sort of stayed in contact. And eventually I took, King's let me do a artist diploma on the recorder through King's by taking lessons with them on Zoom from Montreal. And so, though, yeah, I could finally indulge in my love of the recorder. So it was just great. But then after that, I was thinking, oh, this is such a good opportunity that King's is giving me. Like I can study online. This is just great. And I thought, what should I do next? And I don't know. I had a friend that she was a recorder player, and then she suddenly showed up and played the Baroque flute. And I thought, okay, well, if she can do it, maybe I have a chance. So I started taking a little bit of Baroque flute with Sophie and Matthias, and then in the yeah, after a year, I emailed Rachel Brown, and she agreed to give me flute lessons, which was just amazing on the Baroque flute, and
Fantastic. And where is she from?
London, England.
Oh,
So
okay.
so we have lessons on Zoom, and King's is letting me do again, like, work towards an artist diploma on the Baroque flute by having these Zoom lessons. And so this is fantastic because I've always wished, oh, I wish I could go to one of those European conservatories and take from, you know, those, yeah, professors. And so I can,
You
but I
are.
can stay. Yeah. Yeah.
The virtual world. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So how long have you been taking lessons with her?
Um, I guess about a year and a half.
Year and a
Yeah.
half. And how long do you plan to take lessons with her?
Okay, well, this program that I'm in, like, to get the artist diploma, it's normally, if you do it full time, it would be 2 years, but um, I'm doing a third of the course load each semester, so it's going to take me
Oh,
6 years.
fantastic.
So I'm
Nice.
in my second semester.
Um, what are the main differences between the modern silver flute versus the Baroque?
Okay, yeah. So I have a Palenka copy of a um, Baroque flute,
Mm.
and okay, I have this is paper on here so that when I get sweaty it doesn't slide around. So this white stuff is glued on.
Okay.
But it
Does it
has,
stick
yeah.
on? How do you like
Actually,
yeah.
I used from an envelope, like, you cut, the sticky part, and
Right.
there's two pieces there. And sorry, it's sort of
Awesome. Got
disgusting,
it.
but it's been on for like a year. So yeah. Anyway, it kind of grips a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it has an embouchure, and this particular flute has a oval embouchure, which is a little bit bigger, so it can make maybe a bit more sound, and it's made out of grenadilla. And but you can have, like, boxwood, any kind of wood. Like, there's different kinds of woods that you can have
I
Baroque
see.
flutes made out of.
Okay. Mm.
And so there's a couple of holes, and there's a one key which opens a hole. Yeah. So, yeah, it wasn't like, there isn't just this and then a big jump to the modern silver flute. Like, it's a
Okay.
whole development, like, from medieval, and then Renaissance flutes, and then the early Baroque, and then later Baroque, and all these flute makers around Europe, they're doing little things, adding on little things, and then even once they start adding more keys, and uh, yeah, so it's this whole big development up to, I guess, Theodore Bohm. I don't know that much about the silver flute, but yeah, so it's not just like from here to there. There's this whole
Right.
progression.
There's been a
Yeah,
progression. Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
that's so cool. Okay. So, um, would you say Baroque flute is one of the first types of flute? that we have?
Well, no, I think there were like medieval flutes and Renaissance flutes. And Renaissance, I played on one from Boaz Burney in Montreal. He makes all kinds of flutes, and yeah, the Renaissance flutes are just like a cylindrical bore with a bunch of holes, and so it doesn't have all these pieces. And see, this is a conical bore, so it gets smaller at the end. Um,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
so they're more simple, I guess. Yeah.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
okay, and then other differences like the modern flute, you have all these keys, and uh, so then you can have the holes in places that your fingers couldn't reach on here, um, and so okay, so the thing with the Baroque flute is you have to change the direction of the air almost for every note, so it's quite tricky, and so
It's really challenging.
yeah, so if you like on the modern flute, you basically leave your embouchure in sort of one spot, right? I mean, if you unless you're getting softer or louder, but here, like, I don't know if you can kind of see. Let me just move my iPad. Okay, so D is like this great note on the Baroque flute, isn't it? It rings and stuff. But then there are other muted notes. But let me just give you an example. I'll just play a bit of a chromatic scale here. Well, I'll start on the next one. So you have to change your direction, and the direction varies on also, like if you're playing, if you blow harder, it'll be sharper, and if you blow softer, it'll be
Wow.
flatter. So if you want to, yeah, so there's so many different gradations that you will do depending on like the shaping of your phrase and stuff. So it's quite complicated, and um because you want to play in
Sounds
tune,
it.
otherwise you read out of tune, you see. So and
Right.
then there are notes uh like G sharp, the G sharp. Yeah, so these notes are like a G sharp is basically an A, which is being brought down. So these cross finger notes, and they have a softer, more muted sound. So like if I play a G and then I'll play a G sharp. And then, so you have to change your
Hmm.
direction, and has, yeah, so those are a challenge because you have to move in and out of these positions quite quickly to get to
Hmm.
the next notes. But
That's
as Rachel's in the process of writing a book, and it's going to be this mammoth book for how to learn how to play Baroque flute, and so her students, like, she sends us these chapters, like, so at the beginning I started with a D major chapter, and then you get used to kind of lipping up for the F sharps,
mhm.
and then you move on to other, like B flat is a whole chapter, and you learn what to do with. So she has all these pieces in B flat that you can play, and then G sharp is another whole chapter, and then the high G sharp is another chapter, and
Wow.
so it's quite complicated, yeah. And see, the thing with the silver flute is you because you have all those keys, you can just stay in one spot,
That's
and
right.
the keys will have it be in tune because it makes the
Bit
holes.
easier.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
So
And how about the Baroque flute music?
yeah, this is a lot of this stuff is new for me, and Rachel just throwing me all this stuff. So there's a lot of different styles. Like there's German Baroque, like Telemann and Bach, and then there's French Baroque like Blavet and Otteter, and Italian Baroque like Gimignani and Corelli, and those. And so there, it's all different styles, and the ornamentation, which is a big part of the Baroque music, is also quite different. Like if you kind of simplify, the French ornaments are kind of like little mordents or little trills on a note. It's kind of horizontal, I suppose. And Italian ornamentation is these flourishes, scales going up and down, and arpeggios.
Okay.
And the
Hmm.
German style is, I mean, yeah, you can have, a bit of all of these in a style, but the German style is more harmonic. So you might go down and play like broken chords or
Really?
outline
Oh, right.
arpeggios. Yeah. So what you see on the page is not really what you play. You add a lot of stuff to it, and so that's the fascinating thing too, because you have to be a little bit of a composer, and you kind of learn that, by being immersed in the style. So
Is that ever cool? Right. So, question number 4 is, what's the best thing you've ever learned from a teacher?
that I learned was to just throw yourself in the music. The music is so important, and to figure out what the character is, what the mood is, and just
Character, I like
go
that.
in the flow, and
Yes.
yeah, and then I mean, you learn all these details about what you're supposed to do with French Baroque music or whatever, but
Right.
yeah, I think that's the main thing. Like that's what an audience wants to see. They want to see yourself in the music, and
Envelope yourself.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. To be enthralled, and that takes them to whatever place you're in. That
Hmm.
makes sense. Really good. Let's see. Do you have any cool tips or tricks that you've learned that you'd like to share with us?
um
You did show us the difference between Baroque
yeah.
versus CD.
uh, I mean, yeah, I'm not really sure. As a, I guess I'm just learning things all the time of how to, kind of manage things. Um, oh yes, okay, I have a great thing. Yes, okay. So, like on the recorder, I love the sound of how the recorder, has this wooden sound, and but you can't it's very difficult to shape the ends of notes because you can't really they go sharp or flat unless you change your fingering for that note. But on the Baroque flute, well, and on the modern flute too, you can take a note in crescendo and diminuendo. And Rachel has these great note bending exercises, which I'll just show you. So you have
Mhm.
to change your embouchure to do those things, and so that when you play a piece and you want to have a diminuendo but stay in tune, you kind of do the opposite of. So the note bending gets your lips in shape so that it makes it flexible, and then you can then you can kind of drift off on notes, and yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I just that's why I really love the Baroque flute, is because you can do these really beautiful expressive things. And actually Rachel has me doing on every almost like any longer note, you're always shaping them. You're not just playing straight like that. And so that gives it gives her, I just love her recordings. I just think she's
Very
really a fantastic Baroque flute player, Rachel
nice.
Brown. And when I listen to recordings, they're just so interesting to me because she's shaping every note, and that is my goal.
Cool. Yeah, so that's a real challenge, and you have to, it seems like you have to be really patient and make sure that everything is really intricate. So you're not only
Yeah,
changing your embouchure, you're changing it looked like the way the chin was going as well, whether
yeah, yeah. Like you're blowing up or down, and
yes,
sometimes you have to be really low, and yeah.
probably, yeah, it's really
Control
cool.
it, but,
And here's our last question, Dorothy. Is there something that most people don't know about you?
um,
We know you as a Baroque flute player. Is there something else that we don't
yeah.
know?
Well, I guess I like there are a lot of people that know me as a pianist because I've been in Edmonton for a couple decades and I've always accompanied and done piano things. And so I think it's kind of a surprise when they see me playing recorder or Baroque flute. So yeah. And maybe to
Awesome.
the people that know me playing the flute, it's a surprise that I play piano.
Cool. Yeah, that's great. Okay. Well, that was very interesting. Thank you so much for the brief lesson and for sharing your knowledge with the EFA and telling us all about your journey with the Baroque flute.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.